Morning, Rohn. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Candice?
Yeah, good. Nice to have you today as our inaugural guest for our Meridian Table Talk series. I know it's something we've been speaking about for a while, and we're delighted that you are coming today to talk to us. You are from an attorney firm called Dykes van Heerden.
Yes, that's it.
And yeah, tell us a little bit about DVH and what services you guys offer.
All right. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on. Okay, like you said, it's been a long time coming, and very exciting to be here and chat about the property market and everything that could happen in 2024 and give some good tips and hints to your buyers and sellers. So it's really nice to be here. Yes, I'm from Dykes van Heerden Attorneys. Okay, we're a national firm of attorneys with offices in all of the major hubs around the country. So we've got an office in Johannesburg, an office in the Cape, a couple of offices in KZN. We've got about 4 offices in KZN.
Okay.
And yeah, we're conveyancing specialists, and we like to market ourselves as your transfer specialists. We'll get your transfer and the registration of your mortgage bond through the deeds office in as short a time as possible.
Brilliant.
With as little fuss as possible.
Yeah, good.
Importantly, yes.
Good. And we've worked with you a lot, and we certainly know that you do stick to that creed. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, Rohn, won't you just give our viewers today some interesting and important bits of information? And I think maybe the first thing we can start with is maybe kind of the top 2 tips if a seller is busy getting their property ready for sale.
Okay.
And then maybe if a purchaser is busy buying a property, what would be the top 2 things you would think people should be prepared with?
100%. So look, I mean, I'm going to discuss it from a legal standpoint.
Sure.
We're not the sort of market specialists, but the legal specialists. And so from our point of view, I think number 1 top tip is rates. Okay, there are significant delays with municipalities around the country at the moment, particularly in KZN, and particularly in the municipalities that are not DA run. And these delays often cause a lot of frustration, as the municipalities take a long time to let us know how much you owe them in terms of arrear rates. Okay, so my number 1 top tip really is relates to rates. Try and get a copy of your latest rate statement from the municipality as soon as possible, as soon as you've made the decision really that you're going to be selling the property. Okay, get a copy of the latest rate statement from the municipality. All right, that would really help us as conveyancers up front to know which rate account and your rate account numbers, or which rate account we're going to be dealing with. Okay, and if you can, get a reading of your water meter and your electrical meter, if you're not on prepaid, to the municipality as well, so that they can actually give you an actual amount that you owe. As you might know, no municipalities have really inspected water and electrical meters for about the last 4 years. Okay, and what they've been sending you on a monthly basis is estimate consumption.
Correct. Okay.
All right, and what we're finding at the moment is a lot of sellers, we're submitting an application for a rates clearance certificate to the municipality, and a lot of sellers are getting an exceptionally high amount for arrear rates owed to the municipality, simply because they've been working off estimates for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So during the transfer process, we ourselves will ask you for pictures of your meters. Okay, and we are required to submit those to the municipalities now because they know they haven't done readings for the last 4 years.
Okay.
And like I say, sellers are getting a big fright, sometimes owing municipality 20, 30, 40, some cases 50,000 Rand in arrear consumption. That's electricity and water, because the municipality has simply not done a reading.
Okay, so that's really important to know. Take pictures of your own meters for a good couple of months before sale.
Yes, take pictures of your meters and actually get them to the municipality. So that they can give you an accurate reflection on your bill on what's owed. Okay.
So maybe so maybe one of these talks will actually give some information as to who those contacts are at the municipality.
Yes, 100%.
But that's for another time.
That's for another time.
Great.
All right. Second tip to go to your sellers, is give your bond. If your property is bonded, give the bonding bank notice of an impending sale.
Okay. So why should they do that?
Banks require a 3-month notice period. For the cancellation of your bond. If you do not give them at least 3 months notice, that's 90 days, the bank will charge you a penalty. Okay, naturally the bank grants your mortgage bond under the assumption that you're going to be paying off that bond over a 20-year period.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So their interest rate and your repayment rate is all calculated taking into consideration you're going to have the bond for a 20-year period.
Okay.
Okay. And so if that bond is going to be cancelled early, all right, the bank wants sufficient notice. Okay, that period is going to be cut short. Okay, failing which, like I say, they're going to be charging you penalties. Okay.
So would there, do you think there would still be penalties if the notice was 3 months?
No.
Okay.
So all they need is 3 months notice.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Good
So
to know.
the general process does take, if you've made a decision to sell, okay, the general process from that decision to registration of transfer might take about 3 months. Okay, that's probably a standard turnaround time. Okay, and that's sufficient notice for the bank.
Good. Also, really, really important to save yourself some penalties.
Yes, absolutely. Save yourself some money as a seller. You want every cent you can possibly get as proceeds. Okay, and I suppose it just hurts a little bit to pay the bank penalty fees when there's no need to.
Absolutely. Okay, good. Awesome. So those are really important for sellers. Now tell us, if you're a buyer of a property.
For the buyer, so while we're on the topic of bonds and banks, okay, for a buyer, before you start the process, I always suggest getting pre-approval.
Bond pre-approval.
Bond pre-approval.
Yep.
Okay, so what is your bond pre-approval? All right, it's a process you go through with the bank, all right, who lets you know what the limit of your affordability is. Okay, so if the bank gives you a pre-approval, they will indicate what sort of property you can afford. Okay, they will also be running credit checks in the background. Okay, which are very important from a bank's perspective when they measure your affordability. But at the pre-approval stage, if you're using a mortgage originator or if you're using somebody directly from the bank, like a private banker, okay, at the pre-approval stage, they will be picking up any outstanding debts that you might have, okay, and anything that then might delay the granting of a mortgage bond and your subsequent taking ownership of a property. So if I use myself for an example, I cancelled a contract with a mobile company about 4 years ago. Okay, 2 years ago, my wife and I went through the process of purchasing a property. Okay, we did not do pre-approval. Not take my own advice stupidly. Okay, and the granting of my mortgage bond was delayed because the bank had picked up that mobile contract had not been cancelled and I had been missing payments on that mobile contract. It adversely affected my credit score.
And you probably only knew that when the chips were down and you really needed to, you probably found, did you find a property that you really loved and you were competing
100%.
with other buyers?
100%, exactly.
It could
and so
prejudice you.
We needed to get a mortgage bond quickly, and I had to sort out those debts and cancel that mobile contract before the mortgage bond could be granted. I had no idea that the mobile company had not cancelled that contract. I thought I had submitted all the paperwork, and I had. But those are the sort of things that are picked up at pre-approval stage that they ask you to deal with before the bond grant stage.
Okay, good one. Okay, awesome. What other, tell us something about inspecting properties. I know we've had some issues.
Yes, number 2 to the buyers.
Yes.
All right. Okay, always inspect the property properly. Okay, I'm a big advocate for that. As a buyer, the responsibility is on you. Okay, to ensure that you inspect the property, okay, and ensure that you are satisfied with the condition of the property prior to you making an offer. Okay, so most agreements will contain what we call a voetstoots clause. And essentially what the voetstoots clause means is that the seller is absolved of any defects or for the liability for any defects in the property. Okay, up until the date that agreement is signed. Okay, so the seller's responsibility from the date of signature of the agreement is to ensure the property is delivered in the condition that it was inspected in. Okay, but it's the buyer's responsibility prior to the date of the agreement to ensure they are satisfied with the condition of the property.
Okay.
So what does the footsteps clause cover? Okay, it covers two types of defects. Number one, patent defects. Okay, a patent defect is a defect that is patently clear. Okay, it is clear. It is obvious and clear on a reasonable inspection of the property. So we're talking about broken windows, a crack in the toilet. Those are the common ones that come up.
Yeah.
Perhaps a broken door handle, something like that. Right, and the footsteps clause also covers latent defects. Okay, remember, latent defect is a defect that comes later. Okay, and you might only notice the defect months after becoming the registered owner of the property.
Yep.
Okay, or if you've taken early occupation, which we're all against, you might notice the defect after you've taken early occupation. You know, and the footsteps clause, like I said, covers latent defects. And strictly speaking, legally speaking, according to that contract, it would be the purchaser's responsibility then, or their liability to repair those defects.
Okay, so that's important to note, that the responsibility shifts to the buyer once transfer happens. Any other defects will unfortunately have to be rectified by the purchaser.
By the purchaser.
The legal standing.
That's the legal standing. Okay. Like I say, the footsteps clause is contained in most agreements.
Okay.
And a lot of you might turn around and say, well, the Consumer Protection Act excludes the footsteps clause. Okay.
Does it?
Which it does.
Okay.
Okay. But if you're an average seller, okay, and you do not sell properties in the ordinary course of your business, I'm talking about as a seller itself. Okay. Okay. I'm not talking about a person who might negotiate an agreement. I'm talking about a seller itself. Okay, if you, for example, a property speculator or a developer, okay, then a supplier-consumer relationship has been created. Okay. And that transaction falls within the ambit of the Consumer Protection Act. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. If you're not a seller in the ordinary course of your business, okay, that transaction does not fall within the ambit of the Consumer Protection Act. Okay. Okay. So then the exclusion of the footsteps clause in the Consumer Protection Act is
will kick in. Okay, so that's important to know.
That's important to know.
Okay, brilliant, good. Okay, so listen, we're going to now ask you to give us a little bit of your. I think everyone wants to know, what is the market doing? You know, where if you were to forecast the property market moving forward, if you had $1 million, what would you put your money on in terms of your forecasting for the property?
Look, I think forecasting is a bit of a fool's game. We see a lot of economists have been doing it unsuccessfully over the last 18 months. Been making a lot of promises that have not come to fruition. I think forecasting anything related to the economy in South Africa as well is very tough. We do have a volatile economy, and one bad decision from our government drastically affects that. You know, or at least one perceived bad decision from our government drastically affects that. But it is expected. Okay, and it's common knowledge that it is expected that the interest rates are going to be coming down in the second half of the year. Okay, so what does that mean for your everyday buyer? Okay, it means that the cost of owning their property is going to be reduced because they're going to be paying less to the bank. Okay, so your monthly installments are going to come down. Right now, with an exceptionally high interest rate, we're sitting in what we call a buyer's market. Okay, there's not a huge demand for people to buy, okay, but a high demand for people to sell. Correct. So we've got more sellers than buyers at the moment, okay, and the simple economy of supply and demand, okay, means that now there's a low demand, so there's a higher supply than demand, okay, which means your prices are lower.
100%, and we've seen a big market correction as far as that's concerned over the last 16 months.
Yes, absolutely. So we came out of a seller's market in 2021. We came out of a seller's market in 2020 and 2021. Okay, where we're perhaps overpaying for properties. Right, because there was a higher demand for property and a lower supply. So at that stage, the interest rate was still significantly low. Okay, and so everybody wanted to get into the property market because it was affordable. But what it meant was that you were then probably overpaying for the property that you were buying. Okay, now we're in a situation like, say, where the supply is significantly greater than the demand, which means you're probably going to be underpaying for properties. Okay, with a forecast interest rate cut coming towards the second half of the year, in the second half of the year, it means right now, the first half of the year, you're probably going to be able to buy the property at its lowest price, okay, with your expense of the property going to come down as the year goes on. So I know we're in the game, so it might sound like a bit of a marketing pitch, but the prices really now at this point are lower than they have been, okay, and as low as they will be, because as soon as the rate goes down, there will be more buyers in the market.
Correct.
Okay, your demand is going to go up, okay, and with that, once demand gets closer to the supply, your prices are going to go up as well. So I really think now properties are cheaper than they have been in a very long time. Now's the time to get into the market. It might look like it's going to burn you, okay, but it is only going to become cheaper to own those properties.
100%. Okay. Brilliant. Good top tips. Thank you, Rohn, for sharing your thoughts with us today. That's really informative, and we hope that, from your mouth to God's ears, that the market does become a lot more active, and we're certainly seeing it from a Meridian perspective. People are calling, investors, speculators, people that are looking for good bargains to buy houses and renovate, and for rental income. So we're seeing some very interesting trends that are absolutely matching with what you are saying.
I think those are the people, your investors and speculators. Those are the ones who are plugged into the market and know now is the right time to buy.
Perfect. Exactly.
With an election coming up this year, I cannot see the ruling party increasing, or I cannot see it. I shouldn't actually say that. With an election coming up this year, okay, I cannot see an interest rate hike. I cannot see it going up again. All right, and I think, like I said, those investors, those speculators are plugged into that, and they know that, and they know now's the time to buy.
Brilliant. Good.
So jump on.
Let's do it.
Let's buy.
Perfect. Thanks, Rohn. Thank you for coming today. We really appreciate you being our guest.
Thank you for having me. That was good fun.
Take care.
Thanks.
All the best.
Bye-bye.